She stood in my yard with a dripping paint roller, smiling like she had won. My solar panels, my investment, my pride, were covered in thick gray paint. I shouted, "Are you insane?" And she just smirked, "You don't need these. HOA rules say they're an eyesore." What she didn't know. Those panels didn't just power my house. They powered the entire neighborhood security system. Within seconds, alarms across the block went dead. Cameras went black. Lights shut off. A perfect blackout. Neighbors rushed out, confused and scared. One man yelled, "My wife is inside. The alarm isn't working." Another screamed, "Karen, what did you do?" But Karen only folded her arms and said, "Good. Maybe now you'll all listen to me." She thought she had power. She didn't see the chain reaction she'd just started. I stayed quiet, watching her. Because deep down I knew something she didn't. Those panels weren't just mine, they were leased by the county for emergency surveillance. Every corner, every streetlight, every signal box depended on them. And by painting them over, she hadn't broken a rule. She had committed a federal crime. Her smug face froze when 3 black SUVs turned into the neighborhood. Men in plain suits stepped out, looking straight at my roof. One of them asked me, "Who owns this property?" Before I could answer, Karen pushed forward and shouted, "Me. I'm the HOA president, I run this entire block." She didn't even notice the neighbors gasping at her lie. That was the moment I knew. She had just dug her own grave. The lead agent's expression didn't change. He glanced at Karen, then at me. Then back to the roof where the panels were dripping with wet paint. Calmly, he said, "Ma'am, you need to step back." But Karen laughed right in his face. "No. You don't get it. These are my rules. This man is violating HOA standards, and I've already fixed it. You should be thanking me." The agent tilted his head slightly, then reached into his jacket. He pulled out a badge, one that instantly silenced the whole street. "Homeland Security." The neighbors gasped. Karen froze for half a second but then forced out a fake laugh. "Homeland Security? Over some solar panels? Don't be ridiculous. I told you, this is my neighborhood. You need to leave before I call the real police." I couldn't hold back a grin. She still thought this was a game. The agent ignored her and looked at me. "Sir, can you confirm you are the property owner?" I nodded. "Yes, and I have the deed inside. I also have full footage of her trespassing, destroying federal equipment, and threatening my family." Karen's face went red. She shouted, "Lies. He's lying. This man is dangerous, I demand you arrest him right now." She even pointed at me like she was some kind of judge handing down a sentence. But then the twist hit, one that nobody, not even I, expected. The agent turned to her and said, "Ma'am, you don't understand. Those panels don't just power his home. They feed the backup grid for every police camera in this county. What you did could shut down an entire emergency response system." The crowd went silent. You could hear nothing but the dripping of gray paint sliding down the panels. Karen's hand slowly lowered, but her mouth kept running. No, you're just making that up. I own this place." And that's when another neighbor stepped forward. It was Mrs. Langley from across the street, an older woman who rarely spoke. She raised her phone high and said, "We all saw what you did. Karen. I've got it all recorded. Every second." Karen spun around, panicked now, eyes wide. For the first time, she looked like she realized she wasn't in control anymore. Karen lunged at Mrs. Langley, trying to snatch the phone from her hand. But the agent stepped in fast. "Ma'am, that's enough." His voice was sharp, final. Karen froze in place, breathing hard, her fake confidence cracking. The neighbors started murmuring, their whispers cutting like knives. "She's gone too far this time. Federal crime, are you serious? All for some paint." Even the kids on their bikes stopped, wide-eyed, watching their so-called HOA queen unravel. Karen spun back to me, desperate. "Tell them. Tell them I was just enforcing the rules. This is our neighborhood. You can't just do whatever you want here. I stayed calm. Karen. These panels don't belong to you. They don't even fully belong to me. You destroyed government property. You put all of us at risk. You think you're in charge, but you're about to find out who really is. The agent signaled to one of the men by the SUV. He opened a heavy black case and pulled out a tablet. With just a few taps, he showed live feeds from the neighborhood cameras. Every single one of them frozen on a blank screen since Karen's paint hit the panels. He held it up high so everyone could see. This blackout. This is on her. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone shouted, "My mother's oxygen monitor is linked to that system." Another man yelled, "What if there was a break-in?" She cut all of us off. Karen's face twisted, caught between rage and panic. You're all ungrateful. I was trying to protect property values. Without me, this neighborhood would fall apart. And then, another twist nobody saw coming. One of the agents leaned into his earpiece, listening, then said out loud, "Sir, we've got confirmation. This isn't her first strike. She's been reported for impersonating law enforcement in 2 other communities." The crowd exploded in shock. Impersonating cops. Oh my God. She's been doing this everywhere. Karen stumbled back, her voice breaking for the first time. No, that's not true. But her legs gave her away. She was trembling. And I knew, this was only the beginning of her downfall. Karen's voice cracked as she tried to regain control. You people don't understand. I built this neighborhood. Without me, you'd all be nothing. I am the law here. Her hand shook as she pointed at the crowd, but no one backed her up this time. Every single neighbor stood against her. Some holding phones, others crossing their arms. All glaring with the same look, disgust. The Homeland Security agent stepped forward, his tone flat and cold. Ma'am, you're under investigation. For tampering with federal infrastructure. And for multiple reports of impersonating law enforcement. You need to come with us. Karen shrieked, "No. You can't. I'm the HOA president. I have immunity." The crowd burst into laughter at her words. One man yelled, "Immunity. You can't even stop your dog from barking at 3 a.m. The laughter grew, and the sound cut deeper than any law could. Her face went red, then pale. She spun on me like I was her last chance. You. Tell them this is a mistake. You can fix this. You don't want to see your neighborhood collapse, do you?" I stepped closer, calm but firm. Karen, I fought for this country. I know what freedom means. And it doesn't look like you bullying families with fake rules. This neighborhood doesn't need you to survive. It needs you to stop. The agent gave the signal, and 2 men moved in. Karen tried to step back. But her heels slipped on the wet paint dripping from the panels. She fell hard, landing in the puddle of gray she created. Phones went up everywhere, recording her, covered in the very mess she made. Still, she screamed. This isn't over. I'll sue all of you. I'll take every house, every yard, you'll regret this. But her words were hollow now, drowned out by the sound of her being handcuffed. And then, just when we thought it was over, another twist hit. One of the agents turned to me quietly and said, "Sir, there's something you need to know. This wasn't random. She wasn't just targeting you. We found evidence. Someone higher up has been backing her moves." The crowd hushed, eyes snapping toward me. Karen froze mid-scream. Realizing she might have just been exposed as a pawn in something far bigger than a neighborhood fight. The moment the agent said those words, the entire street went silent. Even Karen stopped thrashing, her eyes wide. As if she finally realized she wasn't the queen, but just a piece in a much larger game. I looked at the agent and asked, backing her, "Who?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he slipped a folder into my hand. "You'll want to read this carefully. For now, we'll handle her." Karen screamed again as they guided her toward the black SUV. But this time her voice was weak, more like fear than fury. You can't do this. I have rights. I own this place. Her words bounced off the car doors as they shut her inside, leaving the neighborhood in stunned silence. Neighbors gathered around me. Mrs. Langley put a hand on my shoulder. You saved us. If those panels hadn't been fixed, who knows what could have happened? Others nodded. Grateful, some even ashamed they had once sided with her. I turned toward the house, glancing at the painted-over panels. I didn't fight for this country to be told I can't protect my own home. I said quietly, but loud enough for everyone to hear. This land, this neighborhood, it doesn't belong to an HOA. It belongs to the people who live here. The agent paused before leaving and looked back at me. Sir, we'll be in touch. This story isn't finished yet. But tonight, you stood your ground. That matters. The SUVs rolled out, taking Karen and her lies with them. For the first time in months, the block felt peaceful. Kids rode their bikes again. Porch lights flickered back on as backup power was restored. I walked inside, wiping the last streak of gray paint from my hands. My family was safe. My home was mine. And my neighborhood had learned a hard truth. No one, not even a self-proclaimed HOA queen, was above the law. And deep down, I knew this was more than just about solar panels. It was about freedom. About standing your ground when someone tries to take it away. Because here, in this country, you don't mess with a man's home, his land, or his honor.